I feel like we see social media and like scrolling on TikTok as a way to switch off. But I think it's completely the opposite. Being bombarded with all this information, you are going to feel more drained and burnt out after spending an hour on TikTok 100%. Than you did before. And that's just not how people see it at all.
If you are successful in it, there's almost no going back because you're putting your life out there. You're getting so much exposure, so much like stuff that's never going to be able to be fully deleted off the internet.
This guy, who I was actually relatively good friends with at the time, stole my phone while I wasn't looking. Basically went on my Instagram and took a selfie of him and just put it on my Instagram story. He was wearing school uniform and our school logo was in the photo. It was literally full view, the name of the school, everything. That's my safety that you have just completely put out there where I go to school. Like from day one. Missing someone.
Hey guys, welcome back to Distracted. As always, we are just here to distract you, and as you can see, we have our first ever guest.
Hi.
Please welcome Glambyflo. Her name is Flo. She has like an Instagram and a TikTok. She's got quite a big like social media presence, and she came all the way from London today to visit Manchester, have a few events here, and come on the podcast. So Flo.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited for it. I'm not the most experienced at podcasts, but it's gonna be fun.
It's fun. Honestly, like as soon as the first few minutes, you're like, oh yeah, you're just like you freeze up. Even when we do it, I'm just like, shit. And then half an hour in, as soon as you get into like the talking, you're just like, I don't know. You almost don't want to stop. Do you know what I mean? Like
I feel that.
Yeah. So basically, Flo, you have like a really big presence on social media. You're really big on TikTok, which, because when I met you at a TikTok event ages ago, right? Was it the TikTok event?
It was like, I think, was it VidCon? It was either VidCon or Sitsi.
VidCon.
Was that it?
Yeah.
Was it VidCon?
Oh my God, it was my first VidCon as well.
Yeah.
I was like so nervous, and everyone there was like, just doing TikTok dances, and I'm like, where the fuck am I?
It's such an odd world, those events, like just people you like, it's like walking through your For You page, you like see these faces and you're like, oh wait, I know you. But that was a while ago now. That was before COVID.
It was like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah,
like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So when I first met you, you were really big on like mainly Instagram, and then throughout like that course of the past year and a half, you just blew the fuck up on TikTok, like loads. I'm like, damn, she's killing it. Like what made you transition into like Instagram, from Instagram into TikTok?
I feel like I'm gonna be brutally honest here.
Here we go.
So coming out, I feel like Instagram has kind of had its day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or at least for certain people. Like I started Instagram when, being kind of a young person doing makeup, because I have quite a baby face anyway, and I started social media doing Instagram when I was 14.
14?
Yeah.
Holy cow.
I've been doing it a long time.
Sophie's like, oh my God.
So like when I started, it was kind of a novelty to have someone that young, so that's kind of why I got big on Instagram. It was like, wow, she's young, she's doing makeup, this is something we haven't seen before. And then as kind of the years went on, so many people started doing social media makeup.
Yeah.
And so at the same time, Instagram was changing so much, like all the different things they've introduced, and
you couldn't keep track of it. Like 1 minute like everything was going well, and then the next minute your page, like I've been through the same thing, your page was just flunk for months.
Yeah.
And you had no idea why. It's like you had no help from Instagram, and like obviously to some people this may sound like so stupid, because they're like, why do you care about your page doing well? Because it is a business at the end of the day, and you need to do well in terms of like brands and collaboration and the job, you know. So I completely get that.
And I feel like we all kind of went through that kind of rough patch all on our own though.
Yeah.
Because when it first started, like no one really wanted to talk about it and be like, oh, I'm not doing so well on social media, because you thought you were the only one. And then after a while I started going to the events and talking to other people and realizing that everyone was going through the same thing. And for about a year before I realized that everyone was going through it, I was so down about it, just thinking like, what am I doing wrong? What can I change? If I had this, maybe things would be better, or if I did this or that, and just nothing really changed anything. So I guess at that point I was kind of like, right, Instagram is just not really,
it's not reliable
anymore. Yeah,
I think like the word is just the most unreliable job in the world, because you have zero control. Obviously you can control like the aesthetics and what you post and like the content, and you can make really good content. Obviously if you make dog shit content, you're probably not gonna grow on there. But at the same time, even if you make the best content, your page can still be like flunked.
That's the thing,
purely because of Instagram and what they decide is like good content or not. And most of the times those aren't even real people, they're just bots. So it's difficult, and it is like, it's hard to have a business that you have just zero control or management over, in the sense that one day I remember my Instagram getting disabled for 2 days. I think I was on like 800k, and it was my whole job was like Instagram. And one day I woke up, it was gone.
Oh my god, the stress.
It was, I cried. Obviously
I could not handle that.
Yeah, it was just a lot, because it's not just an Instagram, it's not just like an appearance, it's my livelihood, it's what I pay my bills with, it's what I pay my rent with, and it was just gone like instantly. I'm like, holy cow, like I'm gonna have to get back to school, I'm gonna have to get back to uni, I need to get a job, like this is shit. And then literally 2 days later, after like I bombarded Instagram with like, not, you can't even email but the little like something's wrong button.
Something's wrong. Something's really wrong.
Something's really bad right now. They finally brought it back and said like it was a mistake. Like people had been, like these random people make groups to report your account. They kept reporting my accounts. Instagram just took it down. And then it came back up. And I'm like, I can't rely on this anymore. I just can't. That's when I
stressful.
Dedicated more time into YouTube, tried to do TikTok, like expanded, because
it's so important to do that, I think, because literally there is no guarantee that anything is going to be around tomorrow. Exactly. Like the way, you know, Vine went, and the way that things just fall off trend so fast. Like next thing we know, Instagram could be gone, and we'd be like, oh god, like what do I do now? I don't have any other options. And I feel that's why there's kind of such a, not necessarily a stigma around it, but such a sort of, well, kind of judgment, I guess, about doing social media as a job. It's kind of just because it's like
not a real job.
It's not a real job, exactly, and it's not reliable, and it's not, you know, a steady income and set. You never know what's going to happen with it. There's like some truth
in that, but then also you get like actors, or I don't know, people that do like comedy shows, like that's very much unreliable too. It's all about if you get booked, and if you don't get booked, then you don't have money. So it's like still the entertainment business. So it's always going to be, every job's always going to be somewhat unreliable. You know, you could still get fired from, even if you work at a massive corporation, they could turn around, oh, COVID happened, we don't have enough money, see you later, and you're still screwed. So
that affected so many people's jobs.
Very much.
And we were probably some of the few people that were lucky enough to be still affected by it, but have our jobs kind of not really be affected by it very much. Because if anything, kind of boosted a bit, because everyone was at home on social media. And just trying to escape.
Crazy. So is that the main reason you moved on to TikTok then, is just to sort of expand your brand and not be as reliable on Instagram?
I'd say so, yeah. I mean, I did notice that just the way that TikTok grew, it just blew up, didn't it? Like how fast people like Charli D'Amelio grew.
I was watching her growth because I saw her first on like 50 million, I think. And I've never seen anything like it ever before. And I've been on social media for about 5 years now, and I've just never seen it. She just instantly blew up overnight almost, and gained
all over the world as well, not just like in the US.
Like she's pretty much set as a career forever now, because of TikTok.
Even if TikTok were to go tomorrow, she'd still be like 100%. Completely fine. She'd be able to do all sorts of other stuff. I feel like with TikTok it just became such a kind of almost overnight massive thing that anyone who was doing social media as a job who didn't do TikTok was just
losing out.
Really missing out. And I feel like when you jumped on TikTok, dictates a lot about how well you do on it. So like people who joined TikTok when it was first blowing up and when it was still considered very, very like cringe and kind of for kids, those people now are absolutely flying.
Absolutely, like made so much from it, made so much success from it. And I really regret not coming onto it faster, because I was going to, but then I just had loads of people telling me like, don't do that, like that's stupid.
That's the thing. And
I just wish I didn't listen and just did it at that time, because like every single person that started at the time, no matter what you were posting, even if you were just posting like photos of your cat, you would have still done well.
Exactly. So when did you join TikTok?
I joined when they reached out to me, like basically like not long before the TikTok event. So just before I met you is when I joined.
That's ages ago.
Yeah, it was ages ago.
Have you been posting content consistently?
That's the thing.
Since
so
then?
I have a habit of taking on way too much more than I can handle.
Oh my God, I feel that so much. I feel that.
It's just like, I can't say no to things. So like if an opportunity arises, podcast, Twitch, whatever it is, I'm like, yep, I can do it. And then a few months into it, I'm like, I can't sustain everything and give my all to every little thing. I have to like prioritize. So TikTok, I was like, just hoping that, you know, I wouldn't really need it, so I kind of pushed it away a little bit, and now I very much regret doing that. But
I feel that though, there's always going to have to be something with social media that's kind of put on the back burner for a bit, that you have to, where you have to like prioritize other stuff, and I think finding that balance is so difficult. And especially with TikTok, we didn't know where it was going to go, and when it was considered, you know, very cringe, you don't want to jump on a platform and have your image be cringe. Exactly. You want it to be a good decision ultimately. So I totally get it. And I mean, I guess the best you can do now is just
keep going and
try and
do your best,
catch up and keep up with it.
That's very true.
A task in itself.
This topic brings up another topic. I remember you started a Twitch. That was a while. Are you still like posting on there, or like what has happened to that platform?
Wow.
I'm guessing it goes in very well with what we're talking about right now.
Yeah, it really does. Twitch. Wow. I mean, I think I first discovered you on Twitch.
Oh, really?
I think that's where I first came across you, because I started Twitch, and I didn't come across anybody that seemed to be doing anything similar to me, and then somehow I came across yours. I think you might have been doing a just chatting stream.
I did a lot of those, just like funny streams rather than like serious gameplay.
Just chill chatting ones. And I came across yours, and that's why I kind of popped you a message. I was like, I'm just starting Twitch.
I remember that.
Yes, that was ages ago now.
That was a really long time.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But Twitch, I mean, I started that because I love live streaming. Like, it's one of my favorite things to do, and I just love the way that Twitch works, the way that you can kind of, it's not just like Instagram where there's your set up and there's the chat and there's the viewers. You know, there's so much you can do on Twitch if you understand it all. And so I started doing Twitch really, really consistently in the first lockdown. So I'd go live like almost every night, really, for several hours, like 3 or 4 hours.
That sounds easy, but it's not. Like, it's so much harder than it looks, because like the energy you have to have on every stream with every person like writing into the chat, and not just for like half an hour like you film a YouTube video, for hours on end.
So
exhausting.
Intense. So I did that really consistently throughout lockdown, because there was nothing really else to do, and I really enjoyed it, and my audience really enjoyed it. And then after a while, I realized that it was really, really affecting me. This sounds so deep, but really affecting me mentally in a way that no other social media did. And it was the kind of way that it affected me. It creeped up on me. And I think part of it was the idea of it being live, and being live for that long. All it takes is for one thing to go slightly wrong.
One little mistake.
And it's not even necessarily in something you say, you know, like you could say everything perfectly and have all the right opinions and everything, and you could still, I don't know, like have a wardrobe malfunction and not be able to take it off the internet, or
I get you.
Someone come in and you know, it's so just sort of raw, which is what people love about it. But at the same time, I just started panicking about it, thinking that something was going to go wrong and that I was never going to be able to get away from it. And I think the thing that really kicked that off was someone coming into my chat who wasn't a regular part of the chat who I recognized. They came in and they must have come in from like a bad side of Twitch.
Yeah.
And they
bad side of Twitch.
There's a big bad side of Twitch. And they basically commented something in the chat saying, basically trying to get me to say words together.
Yeah.
That creates something that I really shouldn't be saying. And because I'd been live for 3.5 hours and my brain was just going, just read out the chat and react to what they say on the chat.
Send you a donation and then like say like, please say
exactly,
this. Or, like,
exactly.
say hi to my friend, you know.
Exactly, exactly that kind of thing. And I mean, obviously everyone who was on my stream like understood and said, that's totally not your fault. But I was still sat there like, I can't believe that, you know, someone has made me say this, even though I didn't understand what I'd said until way after I'd said it, because it was different sounds put together to make something inappropriate,
to
you know.
sound like you're saying something wrong.
And all it would take would be for, you know, 5 years down the line, someone to clip that and it make its way onto Twitter, and that be the end of everything for me. And I couldn't give any context. No one would care about context. And so I think that piled on top of how intense it was doing it for so many hours every day, and how much I was prioritizing that over other social medias and stuff, I was just like, I can't do this. And I was also streaming from my laptop, and trying to do games at the same time and do other stuff, and my laptop just really couldn't handle it, so I was constantly having technical problems. I had like weird people coming into the chat. I just didn't have, I wasn't in the place to have like a proper setup and have mods and have everything that I needed. So it was just stressing me out so much, because it was so raw and live and just things kept going wrong. And I was just like, I can't do this. So
I completely get that. Like, I just relate to it so much, because I feel like you have to actually experience what Twitch is like before like judging what someone's saying on it, because when you're actually doing it, it's so different to what it seems like from the outside. And there are so many trolls on Twitch. The exact same thing has happened to me. That's why a lot of people in the chat actually know. They usually warn you. They're like, don't read it out, don't read it out. Exactly. But it's hard to see that when it's like their message comes through first before the chat.
Exactly.
I've fallen in that trap twice now, and like instantly I would just like turn the stream off, delete the stream. I'm like, that's my, you know, not my mistake, or is my mistake but not my fault. Talk to Twitch about it. They would like understand, because especially if you're a new streamer and you don't know what the fuck that word means, like you can't know. But people are just quite evil on there, especially if you're live. They will try and bait you,
and catch you out
100%,
which is not like the kind of energy that I could just kind of handle. I think people, I mean, there's people like that all over the internet, but just it being live and such a big thing on there, it just panics me so much, you know.
To be fair, like I love the Twitch community. I think there's a lot of toxic people on Twitch, like a lot, especially those people that try and bait you and do those things. But the Twitch community, it can be very, very positive.
Tell me about it.
It does come with a lot of beef, drama, toxicity, like just like evilness in there. And when you are live, that can be really hard to handle on camera. Like, I didn't know if also the wardrobe malfunction would be a thing. Like, I would be paranoid that after my stream ends that the camera was off.
Oh my god.
I've seen,
oh my god, literally me too.
I've seen so many videos on YouTube of people that forgot to turn their camera off, and the things that they did when they were live on the internet were just like, that petrified the shit out of me. So I mean,
you don't, that, you know, we're not exactly doing anything after the live is over that was going to be in trouble, but you don't want to be live in front of an audience when you're not aware of it. And I think me being on my laptop especially encouraged that. When I was live streaming literally just from my bedroom at home on my laptop, there was no bridge, there was no like gap between work and personal, and it just got way too much.
Did you put a little sticker on it?
Yeah, I did. You've got to pull out like the sticky tape.
I had like, at first the camera I had like a little black sticker on it, and then the second one I just got one with like a little lid, because
that's clever.
It's petrifying, especially when it is live. Like, you can't control everything that's put out there as much as you want to. So I do definitely get that, and I'm assuming also with everything else like Instagram, YouTube, TikTok as well, like Twitch was just, it's just too much to handle.
It's a full-time job, I feel, Twitch.
All the streamers on there, like the only way you can be quite successful on Twitch is if you do actually turn it into a very full-time job.
Yeah,
and
all
if you're
the
like
time.
dedicated to purely Twitch.
Yeah.
So I do get that.
Yeah.
But as for Instagram, me being a little interviewer, some more questions. As for Instagram though, you said you started when you were 14, right? How did you start? Like, what did you start doing at 14?
Oh,
your memory,
God.
like getting flashbacks.
Thinking back to it makes me like cringe so much.
Oh god.
But so I actually started my first page as a hair account.
Oh really? Like posting other people's
yeah,
hair or
so
your
I'd
own?
like style my friend's hair or
Right.
style my hair and post photos of it.
That's so cute.
And it was literally like,
So
oh my
cute.
god, I don't even have the words for it. It was just kind of a place for me to put all the kind of things that I created in one place rather than it being something that I wanted to grow. And then from there, and funny thing is, I hated makeup at that point. Like,
Really?
hated it.
No
I would
way.
never wear it. And I was such a pick-me girl, but I literally judged other girls for wearing makeup as well. Like, I'm natural.
Oh gosh.
Don't need makeup. Oh god.
I think we've all been through that stage where we end up being the pick me girl.
pick me
as well.
girl,
Yeah.
exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah. Not me now, but I hated makeup at that point. So I just wanted to do hair, and then I got my hands on some face paint.
Oh, okay,
And
that's an interesting way to
Bit
start.
of a random one, and started playing around with face paint and painting my face to make like pictures
Butterflies
or
and-
that kind of thing.
Got you.
And then from there, I realized that makeup was more easy to kind of come across and buy than face paint.
Yeah.
And from there, I kind of transitioned into doing more face painty, makeup-y things.
Like sort of the Halloween stuff you still do nowadays,
Yeah.
like the really cool, like funky looks rather than just like the stereotypical same makeup all the time.
Exactly, yeah. And then just over time, I kind of started doing creative makeup, so like colourful eyeshadow and stuff. And at that point, I was only doing photos. I was only posting photos, and I mean, please don't do it. But if you scroll back all the way back on my page,
Everyone go to her Instagram
No!
and scroll
Oh.
all the way down. We got to see these. I
shouldn't have
should
said
do that.
They're
Literally
bad.
Everyone's just like
a
scrolling.
warning. But yeah, I started off with just doing photos. And
Yeah.
then, funnily enough, a girl that I went to school with, because I was obviously still at school at this point, who I wasn't really all that good friends with. Like, I didn't know her super well, but she said, have you ever considered doing videos? Because loads of people had started doing makeup videos on Instagram. And I was absolutely terrified. Like, the way that every creator is when they
Yeah.
start putting videos online. Like,
Oh.
it's so nerve-wracking. But I posted a makeup video. And for some reason, the very first video that I posted just blew up.
Seriously, just the very first one.
The very first
Wow,
one. And it
that's
got
insane.
reposted by Huda Beauty.
No.
And so little
What the
14-year-old
heck?
me, where I'd set up my iPhone 4 or whatever.
Wait a
with
second, you were still 14 at that point?
Yeah. I was still like very young, and I didn't have a
Wow.
proper setup. I used a bed sheet as a backdrop, my mum's painting easel as like a tripod, and it just blew
No,
up. And I
that's
had this
crazy.
account with 30 million followers repost me,
Wow.
and so many people started following me, like thousands and thousands, and I just had no idea really how to process it, but I just found it fun. So
Yeah.
I just kind of kept going with it, and I thought, damn, these videos seem to be quite popular. I have no idea why, because I wasn't good at makeup at that point. I mean, I wasn't awful, but I definitely didn't have anything that nobody else had. But I think my USP at that point was the fact that I was so young.
Yeah, I think it's just like, it's admirable and like just adorable to see someone so young on, do you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
making a video like that. Like, it's just, I think that's definitely, no matter how good or bad you were at makeup at that point, like obviously you grow and get better, but
Yeah.
at that point it's just rare to see a 14-year-old do that.
Yeah.
Like, that's not a usual, maybe nowadays, but at that point
At that
it just
point,
wasn't.
that's the thing.
Yeah.
It is now, but back then it wasn't.
Very
And
rare.
I did have like such a baby face for 14 as well. Like there were so many people that said, "Why is this 9-year-old doing makeup?" And I was like, "I am 14."
Oh, that's so cute. You know what's like the insane thing to me, and like the amazing thing, is that you got posted by Huda Beauty. Like they're massive.
Yeah.
When you were 14 years old, like that must have felt insane to you? Because you must have not like just sat there on your phone not knowing what the heck was going on.
Did not know what
your
was going
parents
on.
too being like, what's happening to our daughter? She's famous overnight. Like, how did that feel? Like, what was their reaction as well? Because I bet that was like strange to them too.
I mean, they really didn't understand it at all, really, which is fair enough, you know. I mean, I didn't even really understand social media at that point either. And I think with them, they just wanted to make sure that I was being safe.
Because
you understand, like with social media and being young on social media, if you aren't so careful, then things can go downhill so fast, and it's a big responsibility. And obviously they were so sort of excited for me and thought it was really cool, but at the same time they were very wary of it just because they didn't understand it, and that them not understanding it meant that they couldn't sort of check in on what I was doing and protect me.
Of course.
So they, at the start, like, they didn't want me to stop doing social media, but they weren't like super supportive of it because they just didn't understand it and didn't know that I was being safe with it, which is sort of totally fair. But then as I kept going with it and showed that I was really dedicated to it, you know, filming videos in all the spare time I had after school, after doing my homework before I went to bed, you know, like fitting it in as much as I could and being dedicated to it, they saw like this is something she really wants to do. And I guess kind of the growing following and being able to say that this makeup brand, Huda Beauty, which is like a global makeup brand, has reposted me. Like, I'm not just doing something that's gonna, you know, get me in trouble and I'll never do it again. Yeah, exactly.
And also I bet that they were like, I think for parents, like it's obviously their job to protect, and like I think that's fair enough. Like they were wary, but just because you were so young when it was happening. But also I bet they must have seen how much you just loved it and how happy you got from it, and just like maybe they didn't understand that it could actually be a career. I'm sure they didn't.
I mean, no, I didn't either. I didn't know that it could be a career either. But yeah, I mean, I was a very kind of whimsical is not the right word. That's a very fancy word, but very like I did everything on a whim. It's not whimsical, but
maybe like impulsive.
Yeah, so when I was younger I had all these different hobbies. Like I loved horse riding for about 6 months. And I loved I feel like we all went through that period. I loved archery for like 2 years. I had all these different kind of obsessions, and I think they probably saw it as another one that I'd be obsessed with for a couple of months and then get bored of. And I just never got bored of it. Like even now, after I filmed so many videos and put so much makeup on my face, like still sitting down and filming videos, it's like a different level of joy. God, that's so cringe. That's different so nice level of like happiness that it brings me.
Yeah, like the fact that you still enjoy it, and you've done it for years now, so the fact that you still enjoy it up to this day really does mean that it just suits you and suits your personality perfectly. Like I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I have to film a video and I'm like, god damn it. Like especially like some of the try on ones where you try on like a million different outfits. Like there are some times where I bet you don't love something and you still have to do it, but that's every job. And it's, if you are happy and content and in like joyful most of the time while you're doing something, then I really think it's a good fit. And like you seem to genuinely love what you do, and you're not just doing it for the money. You didn't even know that you could get money from it to begin with.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Exactly, like you did it just out of a hobby, and then it turned into something which I reckon is probably the best way of turning something into a career, because you're in it because you love it. Very lucky, definitely. But it's not, I don't think it's just luck. Like it definitely takes an amount of dedication and just consistency and going and not giving up to get to where you are. Like no one gets there by like a spring of luck. That doesn't happen. So definitely be proud of yourself. I think you've come so far. And she's 19.
Thank you.
Like you're 19. Like, that to me is like bonkers. You're so young and you've already like done so much, and I think that you'll go a lot further as well. Because you're just like, I've never seen, like other than like Charlie D'Amelio and like the few odd ones here and there, like you don't really see that many young people like doing so successfully so quickly. So it's really nice to see. I'm proud.
Oh my god,
I feel
you're so sweet.
I feel like I'm proud of the system. Like, I'm proud of you.
Oh my god, I love that. Thank you.
Of course. But another little question. So when you obviously you started it when you were 14, and then did it slowly grow from there? Like slowly throughout high school you were just growing followers and getting bigger and bigger? Is that how it happened?
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think about when Instagram kind of stopped growing. When was that? When did Instagram kind of just stop being the Instagram that you could kind of grow on? It was like 26. No, not 2017. Something like that. Maybe 2018.
See, my first year. So I started when I was like 18, 19, like your age, and my first year was just first and second year were just bonkers, like insane growth, like non-stop. Like it would just be the craziest thing ever. If I'm like, if I continue like this for a few more years, like I'll be set. But obviously it doesn't always, that doesn't keep happening, you know. So I think it's also like whether your account is new or not, or like how old your account is.
I guess it did fluctuate for everybody, didn't it? So I mean, I started when I was 14, so that's year 9 in the UK, I think. I kept doing it all the way up to my first year of sixth form, and that I was just balancing it with school, which was pretty much like, it was okay. It was a bit stressful around my GCSEs, like balancing everything, but it was when I got to sixth form that things really started to, funny enough, my social media had kind of stopped growing at that point. Like my Instagram had stopped growing, and I kind of thought, well, maybe this is kind of the end of it for me. Like it was fun, but maybe this is going to be where I'm stuck forever. But funnily enough, around that time is when it kind of kicked into place in the real world. I think.
What do you mean? Like it became like a real thing business wise?
Yeah, exactly. So for the first like two years that I was doing it, I didn't make any money. I didn't have a management. I never got recognized. I didn't go to any events, nothing. So it literally just felt like a hobby. And so the numbers didn't feel real at all. It was just like, people would kind of find it cool when I said I had that many followers, but it didn't mean anything to me in real life, you know, so I kind of forgot about it. Up until like sixth form kind of time in year 11, everything had pretty much just been kind of online. Like I didn't really have any sense that it was kind of a real thing. And then around when I got into, probably a bit before sixth form actually, year 10 or 11, I started getting invited to events in London and getting recognized by brands, like getting sent PR packages and stuff, which was so like surreal, going from someone who had like a budget of £5 maybe to spend at Makeup Revolution in Boots, you know, and that felt exciting, to then be getting packages with the whole Anastasia Beverly Hills range. Like amazing. I remember like crying, getting emails from brands saying, can we send you products? It just felt so surreal. So what was the question for that? It was like
that also is a good question.
I can't remember what it was, but something about
it was basically how did it kind of the growth kind of happen throughout school and stuff.
So things started to kind of become almost real around the start of sixth form, maybe a bit earlier, and then just as I was kind of starting to work towards A-levels, things really kicked off to the point where I was getting invited away on trips. Like in my first year of sixth form, I was invited to Tokyo with benefit.
What, you were 17, right? 16, 17? That is just insane. Like to be 17 in school and have that kind of stuff happen, just it doesn't even make any sense to you at the time. You're like, what is going on? What is happening? Like you feel like the luckiest person in the world. So that's
really
mad.
Was the most insane trip ever. Like I was
went to Tokyo?
I actually went. It was their global tour, so they had beauty influencers from all over the world. US, Patrick Starr was there.
No way.
Loads of people were there that I recognized, and there are only 10 people from the UK, and they always have the same people, but they bring in one new person every year. So I was that one new person, and I was the only person from all the countries who was under 20.
So you were 17 and what?
Yeah.
My mind hurts. My brain hurts. That is like, I don't even know what to say to that. That's insane. Like, that is insane.
The coolest thing ever. I didn't really appreciate how cool it was at the time. Like I think COVID has made me kind of realize how mad that was. Yeah. And I brought my mum with me because I had to have an adult with me because I was under 18. And so that same summer I was invited to Tokyo with benefit. I was invited to Cannes with Claire's, and I went to LA for 2 weeks with some of my social media friends that whole summer.
Wow.
And so I just remember talking to my parents and saying, and funnily enough, my dad's a teacher at my school, at the school I went to.
No way.
And I remember talking to them and saying, I can't do both social media and my A-levels. Like, I can't do it. And I started off by dropping subjects. So I went from 3 A-levels down to doing 1 A-level.
Theology. I watched the video.
Oh my God, yes. Oh my God,
We
that's
did our
dedication.
research.
You did do your research. And then I did an AS level in that. So I didn't even do a full A-level. And then I was just like, yeah, I can't do this. And at the end of my first year of sixth form, I fully dropped out.
Wow.
And I've since then been doing it full time. And then I moved to London last year, which was very cool as well, because before I grew up in Bath, so I had to travel up for the events, travel back.
It's very long.
So
like
3 times a week. That was, well, a lot of times 3 times a week for events. That was a lot.
Especially before COVID, like events actually would happen all the time.
They were so big.
PR events and things going on constantly. So with like going to school and obviously like having all that happen to you, I really want to get into the friend situation. I don't know if you've dealt with this or not. I definitely did, which is why I'm thinking to ask this question. Because usually when, even like at 14, when nothing was actually happening because of it, I can imagine kids being very, very mean because it's something out of the ordinary that other people don't usually do. And whenever anybody does in school something that not everyone else is doing, there's always a problem. There's always an issue. Like they're always not very nice about it. So what was your experience first when you were 14 and like just posting without any returns versus when you were 17 and everyone was like, oh my God, this girl's going to Tokyo. Like, what's going on?
Yeah. I mean, I got quite lucky. I didn't have any really nastiness that happened. There was no bullying. There were things that made me feel uncomfortable, definitely. And I felt I hated whenever it was brought up. Like, but there wasn't anything that made me feel really bad about it or made me feel like I should stop, which I'm sadly very lucky for, because I know that almost everybody does experience that at some point. But when people discovered it, because I started off as kind of a private page and then people started finding it and talking about it, you know, and when that first started, I was like shy about it, but it didn't, like I say, it didn't really affect me because it wasn't super bad. But it would just be the kind of thing where it would be guys mainly who I didn't know very well, who were kind of in my year or in my class, who I never really spoke to, who would come up and just say stupid stuff. They'd say can I have a shout out? Or the thing that annoyed me most was when they told my teachers about it, because I really, really like to keep that side of me and my school life private.
Separately? Of course.
Well, not private, separate, because I was actually very like into schoolwork. Like, I really wanted to get good grades. I was very well behaved in school as well. Like, I
dedicated to what was going on.
Exactly. And because my dad was a teacher as well, I didn't want to get a bad name amongst the teachers. And just every now and then I'd like come into a classroom and the teacher would have like one of my videos up on the board.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Or people would be like passing around phones.
Yeah,
they'd put it up on the board. And I'd just be sat there like, I literally just want to get my books out. I want to do my own thing. I don't want to be like thinking about that right now, because all these people, I don't want them knowing me on that level, because I don't know them on like a personal level.
You have no idea who they are. They can't like then just have everything about you on
because it makes you feel really vulnerable, because they know that it's something that you love and you've given them all the power to say whatever they want about it. And I mean, it kind of stayed the same, funny enough, when I started, because obviously I guess I gained those followers quite early on. Yeah. So people would make the same jokes when I had the followers versus when I was doing stuff like in person. And so it would just be stuff like shouting Glambyflo as I like walked down the corridor, or asking for shout outs. That was a very common one. Or kind of if there was like a lesson going on and I don't know, they'd kind of shout out to the teacher like, oh no, she can do that because she's Glambyflo, or
just like patronizing little
can I be paired up
statements
with Glambyflo, you know? And it was the kind of thing where it was just unwanted attention drawn to you. But I mean, as I say, it was never really bad. There were just always these inappropriate questions that came at inappropriate times, asking me how much money I was making, asking me what was going on, asking me like, can you get me verified? Like just it was stupid stuff. So it wasn't like stuff that actually hurt me or anything.
Just very childish little behaviors that like you only really get in high school type settings.
Exactly.
And I completely relate, especially with the video on the board one, because it wasn't actually the teacher. That's why I was shocked, because the teacher put it up there.
Yeah, just because everyone was
strange.
Like, put up this video before the class starts, and they're like, what is it? You know, I feel like they shouldn't, but
yeah, they shouldn't,
they did.
because it's like they should at least watch the video first to know what it is.
But like, I guess they were curious as well. Like, it's quite a cool thing. Like, to them, it could have been like, oh wow, my student's doing this really nice
proud
thing.
Of her.
Yeah.
But I think, especially in a school setting, like even though as an adult you might be very proud, with other kids it's never the best idea to be like, look at her video. You know, this pointing way too much attention to it, and not even knowing exactly, like not knowing if you were okay with it. Like maybe if they asked you like, hey, are you comfortable with this? Not just like, you know.
Although I guess when you put your face on social media, that's something that you kind of give up to a certain extent, isn't it?
Yeah. I agree on to a certain extent, but I think when you're that young, it's different. Like I think when you're that young in a class setting, in a school setting with classmates and loads of kids around you, like there is a bit more vulnerability in that space, and you are a lot more sensitive to
100%.
The hate and to the little criticisms or like the little comments. And I think it's like a teacher's duty to look after the kids, and that is part of it, you know what I mean? But,
there was actually one other crazy thing that happened that I've only just remembered.
Oh no, here we go.
Which was so over the line, it's not even funny.
Really?
And this was quite late on, just before I left school, so it was
17.
becoming a full-time like job for me. It was I was making money through it. I had an audience on there, everything. And this guy, who I was actually relatively good friends with at the time, stole my phone while I wasn't looking. And I can't remember how, but he knew my password or got in somehow, Face ID. I can't remember what it was, but he basically went on my Instagram and took a selfie of him and just put it on my Instagram story, which in itself, it's bad, it's overstepping the line. But the thing that really, really, really frustrated me was he was wearing school uniform, and our school logo was in the photo. It was literally full view, the name of the school, everything. And I was just like, do you understand? Like, I know that I'm not Charlie D'Amelio level, but that's a whole new level of like, that's my safety that you have just completely put out there where I go to school. Like from day one, as well, with my parents being so like
protective
of it, I was so paranoid about.
And you were aware of, like, because I'm sure they spoke to you about it, like, don't put your location.
There's just basic stuff that you just don't put online, and that was one of those things. And just different level.
Honestly, it doesn't. I think it doesn't even matter if you're like Charlie. Obviously, being Charlie D'Amelio's size, you're more likely to have it. Like if they know the location of a house, they're more likely to go there because there's so many people. But even if you had like 50,000 followers at the time, there could still just be that one person that lives semi-close or like maybe like a couple of cities away that could drive to that location. So it just is wrong in many ways. And obviously, I'm sure he didn't realize the extent of it.
That's the thing.
Like I don't like, unless he was just an evil person, which I'm sure if he was your friend he probably wouldn't be. But he probably just didn't realize how bad it is. And also as a little teenager, like you were 17 at that time, right? That's incredibly scary. Sometimes I get scared of even like filming a lot in this building and taking pictures in this building, because I'm like, it is petrifying to me.
People can figure out where you are.
Exactly. Like I've once been stopped, like, and someone wanted like a photo and stuff, which is absolutely fine. Like I don't mind it, love it. But it was like a street away from where I live, and I'm like, I can't walk home now.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because you never know.
You just never know.
Yeah,
like,
you never know.
If there's one in a million people who are going to be like that, you're not going to take the chance.
It's like what happened to Molly May. Obviously, not even close to Molly May, but like, she posted a lot in front of her house, in front of like everyone kind of knew where she lived. Everyone knew it was in what area it was. I'm obviously not going to mention where. and they knew where a house was, and because there was so much information about where a house was, they could actually sit outside a house for days, seeing when they left, when they came, and plan a whole burglary, stole everything in a house. So it's scary.
It's just like a level of kind of respect and humanity that you hope everybody to have. Like, if your address gets leaked online, you just have to hope that people are gonna, not do anything with it.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be those people that do.
Is that something you still like? Obviously, you're not posting your address out here anymore. When you completely change like location and everything. But is that still something you get scared about? Like, is that because you are quite big? You know what I mean? You have a massive TikTok presence, and I'm guessing a lot of those followers are also from the UK because TikTok seems to just really push like people in the area. So is that scary at all living in London with that?
I mean, I think it still hasn't quite clicked kind of the numbers, and I think because I spend so much time on social media, I see people like Charli D'Amelio every day, and I just compare and think I'm not even close to that level. So I still very much see myself as just kind of Flo. But having said that, when I lived back home with my parents back in Bath, I did really panic there because I literally just lived in a regular house that anybody could kind of find. No security, exactly. Whereas now I live in London, it was really important to me to live somewhere where there's 24-hour concierge, where there's security, where, even if you were to know which building I lived in, you wouldn't know which part of the building, and you wouldn't even be able to get through the front because the concierge would be like, who are you?
Who the hell are you?
Exactly.
Get the hell out. Yeah,
and even though I know that the reality of something like that actually happening to me is so slim, it still just gives you that tiny bit of peace of mind.
Just that little like safety as well, because I'm looking to like actually get a house, but at the same time I'm like petrified because
oh my god,
like you don't get the security that you get with a concierge or with like security 24/7. It's just there's one door between you and the outside. Yeah. And that's very scary to me.
It's really scary. I think that's scary for people who don't do social media as well.
Exactly.
Like, just doing social media adds that extra level.
It does. Even though it's like not a massive following compared to someone like Charli D'Amelio, because I think you can't really compare anyone to Charli D'Amelio. I think that's just another level of like fame that is just insane to even comprehend. But it does still give you like a bit of anxiety, or to me it gives me a bit of anxiety, even though I probably have nothing to worry about. It can't, it's
one of those things, and I feel like having those kind of boundaries is something that as content creators has been literally drilled into us from like day one, and just there are certain things that you have to learn. I mean, in my case I had to learn very young when I started social media, that are this you can do, this you can't, and even if you don't realistically think that it's going to be a problem, you just shouldn't do it.
You just have to be careful, because I reckon like you said, it might be that 1 in a million chance, but like that 1 in a million still happens to some people, and you just really don't want to be one of those people.
Exactly.
So yeah, you just have to definitely protect yourself. I'm really glad that your parents were very clocked on from the beginning, and it seems like they really support you, which is amazing. Like my mum hated what I did at first. Now she's okay with it because she understands, but at first she was just like not all right with it whatsoever. And I do get that perspective, especially when they didn't grow up in like the social media era.
100%.
Very sort of more old-fashioned way of communicating and business and job and uni and all that kind of stuff. So I'm really happy that they were supportive of you, but also still looked after you. Because that's a difficult job as a parent, to know what to do with whatever's going on with you.
Because you don't want to push your child away as well, like by telling them they can't do something or that they're not being careful enough. And I feel like there's such a fine line as well. It would be so easy as a parent to say, no, you're not doing that, you're not allowed to do this, and then the child just be tempted to push boundaries. Exactly. And then God knows what happens then. So I'm glad that they gave me like a good balance of it,
Yeah, that's really good to hear. In terms of like, obviously with social media is it mainly Instagram and TikTok, I'm guessing, and then there's YouTube on the side of that as well? Or?
I feel like I'm kind of changing up what I focus all my changing it
Give
up.
me the details.
It's gotta be done.
Give me the details.
So like,
give us the tea.
TikTok is kind of my main thing now, just because it's where I have my biggest audience, and it's where I get the most jobs, and it's ultimately I think the platform that I enjoy the most as well.
It's fun. It's
such good fun.
It is.
So TikTok is my number one priority, and Instagram I have fully now just decided that I'm pretty much going to have fun with. Like,
I like that. That's nice.
I don't I don't sort of want to pitch myself to brands as being an Instagram person where they can sponsor me through Instagram, or I just want to purely have fun with Instagram, just because putting any pressure on Instagram and working really hard for anything on Instagram just gets thrown back in your face. I genuinely feel
it's so interesting to talk to someone that does the same thing, because like I feel like there's a lot of people that just won't understand the little details of it and how much anxiety it gives you at times. Like every time I post, I don't know if you get this too, but on Instagram, every time I have to post something, I get so nervous. I get so anxious. Like I genuinely feel like just scared sometimes, because I'm like, I really hope this doesn't do bad, because if it does bad, then it'll go the rest of it, and then I won't get brand deals, and then I'll lose money. Like it's just such an anxiety ridden type of job, you know?
That's not how it should be either. Like that's why I had to kind of pull away from Instagram, was because I just realized that stress isn't going to get me anywhere. And things doing well or not doing well, I can't just rely on Instagram to see what's good and what's bad and push what's good and not push what's bad, you know? Because it just seems to be random on Instagram.
100%.
So I think that's why moving across to TikTok just gave me something else to kind of take my mind off it. And then doing YouTube as well, they're all completely different platforms, aren't they?
Oh my gosh, yeah, like just the worlds apart.
Yeah,
it's so different.
And Instagram, I feel, is kind of the catwalk of social media. Everything is like,
I see what you're on about.
Perfect and filtered and edited, and it's just not realistic. And if you get too absorbed in that world, you can start to go a tiny bit mad just thinking about it too 100%. Hard.
I feel like because Instagram has been my like main thing for so long, and I did start a YouTube for that reason. I did go on TikTok for that reason too, because I think diversifying from not just relying on Facebook, especially when they have no customer service, they don't help you with anything. YouTube actually like respond to you. TikTok
YouTube is so good, and TikTok as well.
TikTok have like, they give you like a TikTok contact. Like I don't know if you have one as well, but you can speak to them. You can be like, hey, I'm like stressed about this, can you help me? They're like, yeah,
and they'll help.
Instagram, excuse the harsh language, but they don't give a shit. Like they don't care about their creators at all. They have so many
people that they just don't need to give you the time of day, in all honesty, because Instagram is always kind of going to be Instagram, I think. And I mean, they need more people working on the team as well, like,
or at least like a contact email or something where you can get in touch with someone. Like, I don't mind waiting 7 days, just at least give me something.
Give me something in return. Exactly. Definitely. Like, we help their business be a business, you know, even if they're not sort of trying to focus on influencing so much. Like, we've built a lot. I say we. God,
just me and you.
You and me. I'm giving myself a bit too much credit here, but influencers in general have, you know, built the platform to what it is really, and so not getting anything back from that is just a bit sucky.
It's sad, of course, but also like, unfortunately, the best we can do is just diversify, and I'm really glad you're doing that. Like, I think it's the smartest thing ever to diversify your content and not rely, especially when you have this job, not rely on just one thing that could be gone tomorrow. I think I realized that when it went like disabled my account. I'm like, oh my god. So I think it's really, really smart of you to be branching out to TikTok, be branching out to YouTube, and that's how your career will sort of be sustainable throughout the years, because if one platform's not doing as well, you can pick it up on the other one. If that one's not doing as well, pick it up on a different one. So very evolve.
So important.
And it's hard as well, because you have to constantly go with the times. Like, things are constantly evolving, and if you're not on top of that, if you're not following the newest trend, if you're not doing something that's like will cause growth or cause people to stay interested, people lose interest.
You fall off so fast.
Exactly.
Scarily fast.
Very fast. Like, if you don't even post for a while, engagement's down. Like, do you ever get, I get this a lot, which is why I'm asking you the question. Do you ever just get overwhelmed and just feel like it's all a bit much? It's all a bit too much, even though you might absolutely love your job, and I'm sure you're incredibly grateful. You seem super grateful for it. But does it ever just get a lot more than you can handle, a lot more than you can take on, and just sometimes like isolating?
Hell yes. Like, so much. And I feel like I've been in a period of that for about 2 years now.
Oh wow.
Where like I've needed a break from social media, and I can't get it, because the thing is, obviously doing social media as a job and being self-employed is such a blessing in so many ways, but there is no switch off time. Like, I don't know about you, but from the second that I wake up and the second I go to bed, I am just either thinking about work or working, you know?
Exactly.
And as soon as I take any time off, I feel guilty that I'm not keeping up with stuff. You never ever really get time to switch off. And now that I've made it into a job, before it was kind of myself driving that need to keep working. But now there's brands that are on my back kind of saying, you need to send this today, and are you up for doing this, and events and everything. And so I've definitely felt that way for quite a long time, where things are just so much, but you can't really get away from it, which is tough. And I feel like what you said about being isolating as well, like it's such an isolating job. It's so odd because it's literally called social media. It's about being social, and no aspect of it really is
very social at all. You're on your phone 24/7.
Exactly. I feel like the events really help me, because I'm lucky that in the beauty world there's always events going on, like at least one a week most of the time.
Wow.
And so during COVID, that's when I found things got so tough, because all you could do was wake up, film your own content in your room, and then edit it and go to bed. Like there was no break at all. And then, so now the events being back, it helps a lot, because it gives me something kind of in reality, something to base everything that I'm working for,
to look forward to,
exactly,
and to like have planned, and you're like you're working, but you're also excited to like go on that thing, and you want to work more because you know you're going to see people and humans in real life very soon. But when you like this job, I find already very isolating. Without the events, I think that's why they are so amazing, because without them, like I think we'd all lose our minds, because we're just like, people think it's so glamorous because they see us like in cute outfits on like nice little streets, or like doing like cool stuff in the YouTube videos, but the reality of it is we're usually alone at home for the most part of it, you know, bent
over a screen of some kind.
My eyes have been like literally bloodshot before of how often I had to look at a screen for like hours upon hours, like in a day. So it is quite I feel like I don't want to come off as like complaining too much, it is because I realize how lucky we are. I realize what an amazing job it is, but I think everything has the negatives, and it's nice sometimes to like let it out and feel like you can speak on it, and it's just good for your mental health. Literally, just, like, feel that you can talk to someone about it, and you know it's nice. But
I feel like so many people as well, like young kids in particular. Everyone wants to be YouTubers or content creators now, or actors, you know, like I saw this thing that was like 75% or something of kids want to do social media as a job. And to be fair, from the way you see it from the outset, I mean, I want to do it. Like, I feel exactly the same, you know, but I think it's also important to see the downsides of it and know that although there are these amazing things that you get from it, and amazing opportunities and things that you don't really get to do in any other job, there are also downsides to it.
100%.
You know, just like any job.
Definitely. And I think it's like almost important to talk about it, because with kids growing up, like you said, a lot of them want to be influencers now because it is becoming like a legitimate job. But at the same time, like other jobs have been around for years and years. You know the pros and cons, you know what you're getting into. And with this, you really don't.
You really don't know.
If you are successful in it, there's almost no going back, because you're putting your life out there. You're getting so much exposure, so much like stuff that's never going to be able to be fully deleted off the internet. So I think it is important to also show like the bad sides and like the things that can be really difficult sometimes, to give people like a better judgment if they want to do it or not, because if you do, you have to stick with it. It's a long road. There's a lot of stuff you have to deal with online. So yeah, I think that's still important to do, you know? But basically, with everything like going on, how's your mental health doing? Like, how are you doing? I know you said that, I completely get what you're on about when you say that you need a break so much, but even when you have the time to take a break, it still feels like you still feel anxious, because you're like the internet keeps moving, everything's moving so fast, and you feel like you're being left behind.
Exactly.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, you can miss stuff so fast. And the reality is that in most cases, if you do an extra 2 hours of work in the evening, you're going to be further ahead than somebody who takes off 2 hours in the evening. Like, generally, the more you do, the more successful you're going to be. And that is for someone like me who gets burnt out and who gets tired. You know, some people can keep going, but most people can't. I can't at all. And so that isn't a healthy way to think about it. And I think something that I have found myself doing is just sort of saying, well, next week when things are a bit less busy, I'll take a bit of time off. And then next week comes and next week goes and I haven't taken that time off and there's more things coming up, and you just kind of keep pushing it back because you think, well, no, I can do an extra 2 hours of work, or I can do an extra TikTok video. Like, I can do it, so why wouldn't I? And it's going to only benefit me. So I feel like having the work-life balance and kind of not prioritizing your mental health as much as you do need to do that, but you know, acknowledging it at least, and knowing when your body is just saying no, basically.
You need a break.
Yeah, you need a break. And it's such a difficult one because it's not like a sport where your legs get so tired that you literally have to stop. Or, you know, I feel like with social media, you don't really see it as something that you're going to get tired from. Like sitting in front of a camera and putting makeup on, like, that is not an exhausting thing.
No.
Like, that is not stressful, that's not difficult. But when you're doing it for an audience and when it's your job, it becomes something completely different. And it's something that I can't even put into words. Like, I can't even say it's difficult because of this. It just is draining.
Very draining.
Being in front of a camera and bright lights as well, like, it seems like such an easy thing, but it's not in so many different ways. So
editing on your phone, editing like the videos you post, like, it's so easy to then, after a full day of filming where you've been filming for like 8 hours, you sit on the sofa and you're like, I could either watch the show and chill out for a second, or I can edit that video and it'll be done for tomorrow, and then I can post it tomorrow, and then exactly, and get ahead of content and get sort of on schedule and feel like you're actually doing the most you can. So it's almost this mindset of like, you have to be doing something every second of the day, or you're going to be left behind, you're going to lose your job, you're going to earn less money, you won't pay for things properly. Like, it's just this very, not so much the work, but it's the mindset, I think, that's so incredibly draining. Because it's like a never ending, you don't leave the office, you're at home, in bed, constantly working.
And what you said about I could either watch a TV show or get this video edited and get it out tomorrow, it's very easy to sort of think, oh, I could not watch the show now, get this video edited, get it out tomorrow, and then I can take a bit of a chill time, I can take time off
at 3 a.m. in the morning.
Literally. But the reality is that if you get that video edited and upload it the next day, there's going to be another video where you think, oh, you know what, I know that I got that video done, but I could chill now and watch TV. Or I could get started on the next video. There's always something else to be working on, whether it's, you know, even if you've filmed 5 TikTok videos in a day or whatever, you could always film a YouTube video.
Or you'll see a trend and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to do this trend before it's not a trend anymore. And I have to try and like grow from the trend, and it's and then you see another one. Like, it just keeps going. Like, it's literally an infinite amount of work. And when something is an infinite amount of work in a day, it's just so hard to take that break. When you're in an office, or if you have like a company, at some point you're like, I've kind of done everything. Like, sure, I can do a bit more, but it's like not really immediate. It's more stuff that could be done tomorrow or in a week's time.
Also, it's 5 o'clock and everyone's going home.
Exactly.
Like, there's no one else here. The office is closing. I can't do any more work.
Can't just stay here till 3 a.m. But with this, it's like, with any sort of job that's from your phone, I reckon, not just influencers, TikTokers, YouTubers type situation, it is very draining. It's like just a constant screen in front of you that you don't want to look away from. And if you do look away, you've missed like almost years of like things that you could have been doing. So it's very draining. How is there a way that you, like, I know you're saying that you've kind of been feeling like this for about 2 years now, which is a very long time. You should definitely take a break, just saying. But is there anything that you perhaps have thought of or you want to implement that you know will probably help this?
100%. There are things that I'm so aware I should be doing and that would help, and I just don't do them. But scheduling, 100%. Like, setting out times when I clock into work and when I clock off. Even if I'm still thinking about work afterwards, there are times when I'm just not allowed to work, because that is actually the only way that I'm probably going to stop working, is when I'm actually not allowed to, and I have that as a set thing. So taking time off, taking a day, even a day off a week, feels like something that I should not be giving myself. Like, a single day off a week, like taking Saturdays off, and most people have 2 days off a week and then 9 to 5 in the office or whatever. Like, I think scheduling is really, really important, and something that I should be doing, and sort of limiting myself and setting boundaries for myself. Also being I remember you said it earlier, but being careful about what I say yes to, because I feel like I just say yes to everything. everything. Like, and thing is, a lot of the time it's because it's things that I want to do.
Yeah,
That's the thing.
yeah.
So why would I say no? If I get invited to a cool event, why would I not want to go, you know? But I think sort of limiting myself and recognizing where my limits are is something I just need to get better at, because I just push them and push them and push them.
Yeah.
And yeah, it doesn't help.
I was
really.
actually like reading this thing that was explaining how this generation, like obviously there's the social media and this job as well that probably makes this hell of a lot worse. But this generation in general has been so burnt out and so overwhelmed and just so tired all the time. Like even menial tasks like going to take your something to like returning an item or like opening a letter in the post becomes like a massive mountain to climb, because we're so overwhelmed with doing things that are like constantly as important as possible, or just doing things that will make sure we have a future and make sure we're set up, that we even find it difficult to do like small things that the previous generation would do easily. And I found that so interesting, because there was never like a piece of writing that I could relate to more. I'm like, I haven't opened my mail in probably 2 months because I'm scared of it.
Yeah.
You know what
It's
I mean?
just overwhelming. I feel like we see social media and like scrolling on TikTok as a way to switch off. But I think it's completely the opposite. Being bombarded with all this information, you are going to feel more drained and burnt out after spending an hour on TikTok 100%. Than you did before. And that's just not how people see it at all. Like I don't see it like that. I see scrolling on my phone as a way to switch off,
relaxing and enjoying, and you see something funny and you're like, ha ha ha.
Exactly.
But the amount of information we're actually taking in is insane. So things like that are so simple become so difficult, because there's just so much going on all the time that when we're, you know, going to do open a letter up, it's not such instant gratification as like, you know, watching a TikTok is. And it just somehow, it's just like, sounds so stupid, because opening a letter, like, what do you mean, Bella? That takes like 2 minutes. But it just seems such like effort to do. So it's just crazy to me.
It's really interesting hearing you say that as well, because I think I've just been kind of feeling that, but not really realizing that I'm feeling it. Just everything feeling heavy, and tiring and draining. And I wonder if that is a result as well of kind of COVID and being locked in for 2 years and having everything be so sort of joyless. Sounds so deep, but like none of the times when you could just see mates and just not worry and just switch off.
100%. Like even if I'm sat on the couch for a Sunday and I'm just enjoying my day with like Josh or something, my boyfriend, like I'll get this like anxious tick, and I'm like, I could be editing a video right now, I could be making sure that my next post is scheduled, I could be doing this, I could be doing that. And I think what I've learned in the past year or so is why, like, and that's a big reason why I have not been doing as much as I used to do, was because I got to a point perhaps where maybe you're getting at, where it's just all too much. And I think it's important to take a break now, like small breaks, like maybe once a week, rather than get to the point that I got to where you're so overwhelmed that you end up taking months off. I took about 3 months off because I just my brain was fried, like it was a crisp, you know. So I think the healthy thing for you to not get to that point and then feel a whole load of guilt that like, oh my god, like everything's shit now, like I took 3 months off, like having those small intermediate breaks, healthy breaks, is really helpful.
That's better than therapy. I saved myself quite a lot of money coming here instead.
I should change careers.
You really should. You've got a backup career if social media goes to shit. You're so right,
moving on from this, because it's a very intense topic, with everything that we've spoken about and your career so far, where do you see yourself in the future? Like, where do you want to get to? It's a very intense, heavy loaded question. Don't feel too much pressure to answer it like perfectly, but just kind of, where do you see yourself going? Do you see yourself on social media for a long time? Do you want to maybe switch careers after a while? Like, what do you envision?
In all honesty, I think that thinking about that too much, funnily enough, kind of hinders me.
Oh, really?
You know, most people kind of want to have just a rough plan even of what they want to do so that they can keep their goals aligned and stuff. But I feel like with social media, it changes so fast and so many new opportunities are being thrown at me. Like tomorrow I couldn't get an email saying we want you to be a presenter on a TV show, and I'd be like,
that's amazing.
It would be cool, wouldn't it? That that's something I'd never imagined for myself, but who knows, I'd like to do it.
You want. Yeah, of course.
So I don't have like a set thing that I want to achieve. Obviously I want to keep going with social media for a couple more years while I'm still enjoying it, and then I think there definitely will come a time when I don't want to be doing social media anymore,
when you have sort of settled down and like maybe have a family.
Yeah,
that
exactly. I mean, there is one other thing that I've always kind of had as something I really love the idea of doing, which is nannying.
Oh, that's so cute.
And kind of like going and being a nanny in New York, or going and being a nanny in, I don't know, just like traveling around and being a nanny, because I love kids so much.
I see that like as a newspaper article, like influencer leaves her career to become a nanny.
Oh my god. I literally just love the idea of doing it and being kind of under the radar for a bit. Yeah. And just kind of
low key living sort of in almost like the real world for a bit without all the bougie like looks and this and that. And, like,
because I love that side of it, and I love it right now, and so I'm going to stick with it for now, but later on down the line I just get the feeling that's not going to be me forever,
of course,
and so doing something else, you know, at some point I'd like to kind of almost split my life into two bits, where I'm Glambyflo, and then I become just a different version of Flo that's like
Florence.
Florence, that's a nanny that lives in New York.
No way.
That'd be nice.
That is the first time I have ever heard that kind of answer from anybody. Like when you ask them that kind of question, especially influencers, like I have never heard that answer before.
What do they normally say?
The most unique answer ever. They usually just say like, oh, I'm just, you know, saving and making as much money as I can right now, and then I'm gonna just like go into, I don't know, become a manager, or like, you know, just kind of go into the business of
the business side
also
of it.
influencing. But that is a very new response, and I'm all here for it.
Just something completely different.
Completely different, very unique. That's
I love that.
But like is that like a serious, do you really want to like sort of become a nanny and like kind of just do that for years?
I think so.
What about if you like, let's say, settle down somewhere and you kind of maybe not traveling as much, not in New York anymore, and you sort of settle down somewhere, like what would be like a long-term kind of sort of job that you'd like to have? Or is that way too far in the future and you're like, shut up, Bella?
So far in the future, like that's third career we've got going on there. Social media, then nanny, then I don't know, I just love the idea of doing something very simple. I mean, this is something else I'd love to do while I'm young, not so much sort of far in the future, but I would love to be a barista.
Really?
And just work at like Starbucks or something, and just do something where you just kind of do something physical with your hands, but it kind of is repetitive and
focus on the task at hand and nothing else.
And you switch on and you make the first drink, and then you keep going throughout the day, and then you make your last drink and you go home, and that's it.
That's
just like
amazing.
It sounds so just like not necessarily peaceful, because it's still going to be a stressful job, and there's things you're going to have to do, and times when it's going to be super busy and stuff, but just it's a different kind of stress. So the kind of stress that
different life experience. And I feel like, because when I was when you sort of started social media, I was actually like a bartender. I did bar work.
Oh my god!
No one knows
that's
this.
What I'd love to do. I'd love to have done that.
Don't get me wrong, it's fun. It's very fun making all the cocktails. I know how to make every cocktail you can imagine.
Oh my god! We've got to have a girls' night.
Got to have a nice little mojito night, cocktail night.
Nice.
But it was amazing. Don't get me wrong. Like it taught me a lot. It taught me a lot of. Like, I'm kind of glad I also had that experience before going into this, because it makes me appreciate this a lot.
Tell me about it.
Because it's hard work. Like it's the type of work where I'd have blisters on my feet every day. It's like intense physical labor, especially when they don't give you the right legal hours and you have to work for too many hours. I'd work like 12-hour shifts every day.
Oh my god.
But I get what you mean. I think it's an experience. Having those type of experiences make you like more aware of the world and like a better person for it, because it's nice to step in other people's shoes every so often, you know?
I hate the idea of doing the same job for my whole life, meeting the same people, doing the same things.
So tiring.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast today. We obviously have to stop here because Flo does have a event to go to. She's all fancy and
Jet
bougied up.
setting.
But thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate you taking the time. I know, like, obviously, you even mentioned you were coming up to Manchester and you wanted to make this a priority, and I appreciate that so much more than you know. So I want to give a little round of applause for our first ever distracted guest.
Oh
There's
my
only
God,
3 people here,
pressure.
but let's go.
Thank you so much. This is great fun.
But yeah, Flo, I really hope you enjoy your event, and I hope
Thank
we
you.
can do this again at some point. And
That'd be fun.
everyone, oh, go on.
No, I just said that will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
And everyone, her Instagram and everything like that will be on the screen. And I'll also link everything you need to know about Flo down in the description box. Is there anything you'd love to shout out or promote or?
I think you said it all.
I think I said
TikTok.
it all.
Catch me on
Amazing.
TikTok.
Catch her on TikTok. She does some really cool videos where she goes around London giving people makeup.
Oh,
I
yeah.
love those videos.
There's a new one of those coming out in a few
Really?
days. So.
I love them. I think they're like the cutest thing ever. Just seeing people's reactions. Go
Thank
watch
you.
it. Just basically go watch it.
Nice little promo there. Thanks.
All right, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Missing someone